So let's just dive right into this explainer. Imagine we're grabbing a coffee, just kicking back and chatting about something that honestly sounds a bit like a sci-fi movie, but is actually a totally practical guide for your day-to-day life. Today, we're taking some pretty heavy academic theories on uncertainty and self-deception and translating them into what the source material calls cold intelligence. It's basically a plain English, no-nonsense playbook for living wisely in a really, really messy world. To make sense of the whole shebang, we're going to break it down into 5 key ideas. 1. The messy universe. 2. Your defense lawyer. 3. The success illusion. 4. Skin in the game. And finally, 5. Practicing hard humility. All right, let's get into it. Starting off with idea number 1, the messy universe. And spoiler alert, it absolutely does not care about your plans. Look, the harsh reality check here is that we are living in a world we literally do not control. Now, the universe isn't exactly plotting against you, right? But it's absolutely not organized to keep you comfortable either. The real world is like this massive, wild, unpredictable storm out on the open sea. But our brains, they hate that. So they try to draw these incredibly neat, simple little stories just to protect our egos. We really have to stop crying about the weather and demanding certainty. I mean, if you know a huge storm is coming, you don't go outside and yell at the clouds. You build a stronger house. And because randomness scares us to death, we absolutely crave clean explanations after the fact. This is what's called the narrative fallacy. Literally, the second an event is over, whether that's a massive company failing or just a personal relationship ending, our minds reach backward, grab a few super convenient facts, and just string them together. We take this wild, chaotic forest of random events and pretend it was a straight, paved highway the entire time. We just completely delete all the messy, random accidents that actually happen along the way. That brings us to idea number 2, your defense lawyer. Put simply, your ego is definitely not an objective judge. So not only is the world super messy, but your brain is completely biased. Your ego is not out there hunting for the objective truth. It acts way more like a high-priced, incredibly slick defense lawyer protecting your pride with massive double standards. Think about how this plays out in real life. If I screw up a big project at work, well, obviously it's because the deadline was totally unrealistic, right? But if you screw up that exact same project, my defense lawyer brain immediately says, nope, you're just lazy. It's a character flaw. We call our own aggression being honest and realistic, but when somebody else does the exact same thing to us, it's just cruelty. We are constantly dressing up our bad behavior in these noble-sounding words. And guys, it gets even crazier when we look at our own past. Thanks to something called reconstructive memory, your mind is basically a creative writer constantly rewriting the script. It is absolutely not a passive video camera just pulling up an old, unedited file. When you remember something from, say, 5 years ago, your brain literally rebuilds the event from scratch right in that moment, altering the past just to make sure your self-image stays perfectly intact. So the next time you're in an argument over who said what, just remember, neither of you is necessarily lying. You're just prisoners of your own reconstructive memories. Moving right along to idea number 3, the success illusion. Basically, success has this magic way of making people look like absolute geniuses. We are all totally obsessed with copying the 5 a.m. daily routines of ultra-successful billionaires, right? But that is usually a massive trap, and it's all thanks to the halo effect. This is where the exact same corporate behaviors are labeled as absolute genius or wildly reckless, purely based on what the final spreadsheet says. If a company pulls in high profits, we slap on our outcome-colored glasses. The CEO, oh, they're a visionary. The strategy, completely bold. But say the market tanks a year later. Same behaviors, totally different adjectives. Suddenly, that same CEO is arrogant, and the strategy was reckless. The narrative literally just follows the money. And this leads us right into survivorship bias. We absolutely love to praise the visionary courage of wealthy college dropouts who just followed their gut. But in doing that, we are completely ignoring the silent, invisible cemetery filled with broke entrepreneurs who took the exact same financial risks but completely ruined their lives. If the winners and the losers did the exact same things, then taking massive risks isn't some magical secret recipe for success. It's just what high-stakes gamblers do. Which perfectly sets up idea number 4, skin in the game. Never ever trust experts who don't pay a price for being wrong. So let's pause for a second. If our brains are this biased and success is basically an illusion, how do we actually navigate this? Every single day we're hit with endless predictions from financial advisors, pundits, influencers. In such a foggy, chaotic world, who do we actually listen to? The rule from our source material here is incredibly severe and totally non-negotiable. You have to look right past all the fancy credentials and ask one simple question. Does the person giving this advice actually bleed if they're wrong? Do they pay a personal price? Think about the fundamental difference between a commercial airline pilot and a TV economic pundit. You should always, always trust the pilot. Why? Because they have 100% skin in the game. If they make a reckless decision, they pay with their own life. Their mind is physically forced to stay grounded in reality. But the TV pundit, 0% skin in the game. They can go on air, predict a total market collapse, cause a massive panic, be completely wrong, and still collect a massive paycheck at the end of the week. The takeaway? Never trust anyone who transfers all the hidden risk onto you while keeping the upside for themselves. And finally, we arrive at idea number 5, practicing hard humility. It's all about mapping your own ignorance. So how do we actually shift away from arrogant, useless prediction and move into disciplined preparation? You do it by focusing on removing your own weak spots. Here is the playbook. Step 1. Ruthlessly cut your lifestyle debt to build up cash. You want massive optionality so that a single unexpected shock doesn't totally ruin you. Step 2, aggressively separate what you can control from what you can't. Stop trying to forecast the global economy and master what is actually in your hands, like your own speed, your effort, or your quality. And step 3, run small, cheap, reversible experiments. Please don't bet your entire life savings on an unproven idea. Let reality hit you with some cheap, painless feedback first. Embracing this kind of cold intelligence and hard humility does something amazing. It completely strips away all the toxic, fake sentimentality we carry around. When you finally stop expecting the universe to act like this hyper-protective parent, you stop turning into a bitter victim every time bad luck strikes. It gives you this clear-eyed, robust strength to act boldly, and it helps you appreciate the ordinary, quiet moments precisely because you know just how incredibly fragile they are. So, here is my final question for you to chew on today. The very next time you find yourself absolutely certain about why you succeeded or exactly why someone else failed, are you going to let your slick internal defense lawyer do all the talking, or will you have the raw courage to cross-examine your own brain? Thanks so much for catching this explainer, and keep staying curious.